Hello guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Chris.
And I'm Mike. We're here to talk about the topic that affects relationship that people don't realize.
Yeah, and that is how childhood trauma shows up in your love life as an adult.
Yeah. So you realize why you did the way you do.
Yeah.
If you ever wondered why you push good people away.
Yeah, or overthink, or fear being abandoned, or get attached too fast.
It may not be your personality, but something from your past.
Yeah, something from your childhood.
Well, firstly, let's start with something common. Some of you don't like relying on anyone. You don't ask for help. And you don't open up.
Yeah, then people think you are cold. They think you are nonchalant. They think you don't care. You understand? But it actually started from your caregivers growing up. Probably you had caregivers that were not reliable. Yeah, people that they don't show up. Yeah, so how this shows up in relationship now is that your partners probably, you'll be self-reserved. You'll not really like ask people for help.
You don't want to open up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So your partners will think that maybe you don't care, you're nonchalant.
They wouldn't know that if that's how you grew up.
Yeah, that's how you grow up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like in your brain, it's like a brain's mechanism of protection.
Then we have the other side, fear of abandonment. These are the people who attach deeply and quickly.
You overthink delays, you overthink tone changes, you overthink text patterns. It's like your brain is always prepared, it's always ready for someone to leave.
Not because you're dramatic, but because you grew up not knowing what stability felt like. Well, trauma affects the nervous systems. In relationships, small conflicts feels like danger.
That's why some people shut down. They get overwhelmed. They get triggered by little things. They're not actually reacting to that particular thing. They're reacting to what that thing reminds them of.
Another way childhood trauma affects our relationship is emotional regulation. Sometimes in relationships, small conflict feels like danger.
That's why some people get overwhelmed. That's why some people shut down. They get triggered by little things. It's not that thing that they're reacting to. They're reacting to what that thing reminds them of, their memory. Okay, let me give you an example. You know, there are some people that they avoid conflict so much that they turn to be people pleasers just to avoid conflict. They do everything humanly possible to avoid a conflict. So you have difficulty regulating your emotions because trauma leaves your nervous system on high alert. You get overwhelmed quickly, you get triggered easily. Small conflicts feel like big threats. Arguments trigger fights or flight. Yeah, so you have difficulty regulating your emotions when you have trauma as kids. Let's say your parents used to fight and you've seen all these conflicts, so you're trying everything possible to avoid conflict. So when you're in a relationship, you do everything possible to avoid conflicts. Even if your partner is trying to maybe step on you, you don't stand up for yourself, you don't speak up, you become a person pleaser, you start pleasing people just to avoid conflicts. And you know what that's going to end up, make the relationship one-sided. Another way childhood trauma shows up in our love life as adults is choosing off familiar pain. It takes the brain a substantial amount of energy to see a habit and to register that habit pattern. That is why it is much easy for someone to move to a habit that feels familiar than the habit that is actually good or healthy. You see some people in relationships and you be like, what the hell is this girl doing with this guy? This girl is toxic. Yeah, so but you don't know because growing up, probably that's what that guy has been seeing all his life. So he's not used to like a good woman. So if you grew up around chaos, inconsistency, a lot of criticism, a peaceful partner might seem boring to you. That's why you see people moving from one toxic relationship to the next. So another way childhood trauma shows up in relationships as adults is people don't know how to take love. Yeah, they feel like everything is fake. Compliments become very uncomfortable. Yeah, so kindness, when you show kindness to them, it feels suspicious to them. Yeah, they'll be like, you have another motive behind your kindness. Yeah, that's probably because they lack those kind of things growing up. They weren't shown love, they weren't complimented, so they don't know how to receive compliments. You know, it's a duty of someone that receives a compliment. It's your duty to acknowledge it. Yeah, so you see some people, you tell them, damn, you look really nice, or I like your outfits. Like, they'll be like, oh, forget.
They don't trust the word.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's childhood trauma showing up. Yeah, so because they don't trust, it feels really uncomfortable to them. They're not used to it. Another way childhood trauma shows up in our love life as adults is in setting of boundaries. A lot of people either set too much boundaries or no boundaries. Some people let everything slide. Like when they're in a relationship, they let everything slide. And some people shuts out everyone. Like they shut out everyone. They don't let anything slide. If you are in an abusive household, you grew up with an abusive parent or something, you already be used to all those insults. So probably when you're in a relationship and you get insulted, you just let it slide because you're already used to it. Was never abused.
Another way childhood trauma is showing up in our adulthood relationship is trust issues. Trust issues are high. You understand? You always need reassurance, just like growing up in a home, like maybe your dad is maybe a womanizer, you understand? So, and you grew up with something like that, and you're actually in a relationship in your adulthood, and
Yeah.
you understand, you always think everyone you meet cheats. They find it hard to trust because of what's actually happened in their childhood.
So if any of these hits you, don't break yourself up. It only means you are wounded.
And wounds can heal with awareness, patience, and the right supports.
Yeah, so don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
Sure.